Hello friends. What happens when the most grounded man in the zodiac meets a woman whose mind floats among the stars? What could possibly come from a union between Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, the planet of structure, time, and responsibility, and Aquarius, also ruled by Saturn and Uranus, the rebel planet of sudden change and innovation? Is it destined to crash and burn, or could it just be one of the most fascinating, transformative connections in astrology? Let's dive deep into the beautiful, bizarre, and often baffling connection between a Capricorn man and an Aquarius woman, from steamy romance to boardroom strategy. Love compatibility, earth meets air. Capricorn men are builders, not just of careers and legacies, but of love that stands the test of time. For him, romance isn't a whirlwind of fleeting passion, it's a carefully constructed foundation meant to support a lifetime. He moves slowly, intentionally, and doesn't give his heart away unless he truly sees potential. He values commitment, loyalty, and shared goals. His idea of love is deeply rooted in stability, mutual respect, and a clear future. Dating, to him, isn't a game. It's a strategy towards something real and enduring. He prefers predictable rhythms, well-defined roles, and deep emotional security. Now, enter the Aquarius woman. She's a force of nature wrapped in air and electricity. She doesn't chase love. She stumbles into it while chasing ideas, revolutions, and possibilities. She doesn't follow conventional relationship norms because, frankly, she finds them boring or even oppressive. Love, for her, must be expansive and evolving. It must be mentally stimulating, emotionally refreshing, and, most importantly, on her own terms. She's allergic to emotional manipulation or anything that feels like control. She doesn't want to be possessed or managed. She wants to be understood, for her mind, her dreams, her independence. So when these two meet, something strange happens. Despite their differences, they recognize a certain strength in each other. Capricorn is captivated by her intellect, her radical honesty, and the way she dances just outside the lines of tradition. She isn't like anyone he's known before, she's bold, unbothered, and endlessly intriguing. Meanwhile, Aquarius senses something solid in him, something grounding. She may not be looking for a rock, but it's hard to ignore how safe he feels, how clear his intentions are. Their first spark isn't necessarily romantic in the traditional sense. It's mental. It's philosophical. It's two worlds colliding with curiosity rather than lust. But make no mistake, tension brews early on. Capricorn is used to knowing where things are headed. He wants to define the relationship, set expectations, plan dates, and make time for her within the rigid architecture of his schedule. Aquarius? She resists all of that. She doesn't want to label anything too soon, and even when she's in love, she still needs to feel like she's choosing freedom every day. Capricorn may start to think she's emotionally unavailable, while Aquarius may begin to feel that he's trying to lock her down, make her predictable, turn love into an obligation rather than a choice. Yet, in the heart of this friction lies their greatest opportunity for growth. If Capricorn can learn to loosen his grip on certainty and lean into the unpredictable beauty of Aquarius's world, he will be challenged to grow in ways he never expected. She can show him that spontaneity doesn't mean irresponsibility, and that love can thrive in the unknown. Meanwhile, if Aquarius can come to appreciate the safety and depth that Capricorn offers, she'll learn that structure can provide a platform for her wildest dreams rather than limit them. He grounds her ideas in reality. She opens his world beyond the physical, into realms of creativity and futuristic thinking. The emotional learning curve here is steep. Capricorn will need to soften his expectations around how love should look. Aquarius will need to practice showing up emotionally, even when commitment feels uncomfortable. There will be moments of confusion, arguments about priorities, and misunderstandings over what intimacy means. But if they're both willing to grow, this pairing can evolve into something rare, a relationship that's not defined by conformity or chaos, but by transformation. Because when earth and air combine, they create space for things to grow, ideas to expand, and hearts to meet halfway. This relationship, while unconventional and often misunderstood by outsiders, can become a quiet revolution. One that teaches them both that love doesn't have to mirror tradition or fantasy. It just has to be true, and constantly chosen. It's not easy. But it's unforgettable. Sexual compatibility, the unexpected chemistry. This is the part of the Capricorn man and Aquarius woman dynamic that no one sees coming, not even them. While they might struggle to sync emotionally or in everyday routines, something fascinating begins to stir behind closed doors. When the bedroom door shuts, their differences don't disappear, they combust. The fire that emerges isn't the flashy, impulsive kind. It's more like a slow-building storm, electric, unpredictable, and intense in ways neither of them quite anticipated. Capricorn men are often misjudged as emotionally cold or sexually conservative because of their composed demeanor. But in truth, a Capricorn man brings serious heat once he feels safe enough to let down his guard. Beneath that calm, controlled exterior is a sensualist who appreciates every detail of physical intimacy. He is deeply attuned to touch, timing, and the unspoken language of pleasure. He's not the type to rush, in fact, he prefers to savor every moment. His approach to sex is grounded, powerful, and deeply intentional. He doesn't separate sex from meaning. For him, it's about loyalty, trust, and unlocking layers of intimacy that words can't always reach. On the flip side, the Aquarius woman brings in a completely different frequency. She's experimental, imaginative, and open-minded, sometimes radically so. She sees sex not as a series of emotional milestones but as an experience, an exploration, a conversation without words. For her, it's about curiosity, connection, and novelty. She enjoys challenging traditional expectations and finds stimulation in variety, new positions, new locations, new ideas. She isn't afraid to take the lead, ask for what she wants, or suggest something wildly unconventional. Emotional attachment isn't her prerequisite for sexual engagement, though with the right partner, her physical openness can evolve into profound trust and even love. So what happens when these two sexual worlds collide? Initially, confusion. She might see him as too intense, too traditional, too bound by some internal script of how things should go. He might find her unpredictable, even emotionally distant, like she's experimenting rather than connecting. Their early encounters may feel mismatched, like two instruments playing in different keys. He wants to move with deliberate depth, she wants to explore without boundaries. But here's the twist, when they stop trying to understand each other and just feel, a deeper chemistry starts to unfold. Capricorn's strength is stamina, and his slow-burn desire gives Aquarius the space to bring her wild ideas to life. Meanwhile, Aquarius's spontaneity and playfulness challenge Capricorn to step out of his comfort zone, to try something less rehearsed, less expected. His earthy energy stabilizes her flighty impulses. Her airy imagination breathes new life into his deeply physical nature. Together, they create an unusual but powerful polarity, grounding and uplift, structure and chaos, presence and fantasy. Over time, what began as awkwardness becomes anticipation. They start reading each other's signals more clearly. He learns to adapt, to loosen up, to welcome the unexpected. She learns to pause, to lean in, to embrace the emotional undercurrent that Capricorn brings even when she doesn't always understand it. Their sex life won't always be conventional. It might not always be romantic in the hearts and flowers sense. But it will be memorable. It will evolve. It will deepen in surprising ways, especially as emotional trust grows. Capricorn will be surprised by how much he enjoys letting go. Aquarius will be amazed by how deeply she can feel when she feels truly safe. Their differences in bed don't have to divide them, they can become the exact reason they keep coming back for more. In the end, their bedroom chemistry becomes a metaphor for their entire relationship. It's not smooth, not simple, not something you can define in a neat little box. But when it works, when they lean into the discomfort, the novelty, and the adventure, it becomes something electric. Something unforgettable. Marriage compatibility, traditional meets revolutionary. This is not your typical fairy tale pairing. When a Capricorn man and an Aquarius woman walk down the aisle, figuratively or literally, it's not because they're swept away by illusions of romance. It's because they've found something deeper, something grounded in shared growth and hard-earned understanding. But let's be honest, this union doesn't come naturally. They speak different languages when it comes to love, commitment, and what marriage should look like. He craves structure, she craves space. He needs consistency, she thrives on change. Their very definitions of what a successful marriage is are often miles apart. Capricorn men are the embodiment of long-term thinking. When they think of marriage, they think of legacy, homeownership, responsibility, and reliability. To him, marriage is the cornerstone of adulthood, a serious commitment with clear expectations and practical outcomes. He wants to be the provider, the rock, the partner you can count on every single day. He thrives in clearly defined roles and often envisions a life that runs on schedule and structure. He might not be the most emotionally expressive partner, but his love runs deep, and he proves it with action, not just words. Marriage, for him, is a mission, and he intends to honor it to the end. The Aquarius woman, meanwhile, doesn't exactly dream of "till death do us part," in the traditional sense. Her vision of marriage is fluid, progressive, and often radically different from the societal mold. She questions everything: why marriage has to look a certain way, why gender roles still exist, why love needs to be legally recognized at all. For her, commitment must be chosen daily, not assumed. If she's going to tie her future to someone else's, that person better understand her need for independence, evolution, and intellectual freedom. A marriage that feels stagnant or overly domestic will suffocate her. She doesn't want routine. She wants renewal. So how do these two people, one rooted in tradition, the other powered by revolution, make it work? By dismantling the rulebook and writing a new one together. A Capricorn man must learn to be flexible, not abandoning his need for structure, but understanding that structure can take many forms. He has to accept that emotional security doesn't come from controlling the narrative, but from trusting the process. If he can support her in her non-linear path, he may find that she becomes more loyal and grounded than he ever expected. On her end, the Aquarius woman has to recognize that freedom doesn't mean absence. Being emotionally present and consistent doesn't have to cost her independence. In fact, Capricorn's steady love may provide the kind of safe foundation that allows her to take greater risks, dream bigger, and express herself more freely. If she can understand that reliability isn't the enemy of freedom, but a launch pad for it, she may begin to cherish the very things she once feared. This kind of marriage won't look picture perfect from the outside. They may not be the couple who posts love notes on social media or throws elaborate anniversary parties. They may even live unconventionally, different work schedules, separate hobbies, or alternative living arrangements. But what binds them isn't romance in the classic sense. It's mutual growth, radical respect, and shared evolution. They become life partners not because they fit perfectly, but because they're willing to keep refining their shape for each other. The strength of this marriage lies not in predictability, but in resilience. Capricorn brings grounding. Aquarius brings vision. Together, they can build a future that's not bound by tradition, but informed by it, something both stable and dynamic, practical yet inspired. Over time, their bond becomes less about who they were and more about who they're becoming, together. It may not be the most affectionate or emotionally gushy relationship, but it can be one of the most enduring. This is the kind of marriage that quietly lasts, not because it was easy, but because both people committed not just to each other, but to becoming better versions of themselves through the journey. Sometimes, the love that lasts the longest isn't loud or obvious. It's the one that adapts, grows, and survives every reinvention. That's exactly what this pair is capable of, if they dare to keep choosing each other, even when it would be easier not to. Friendship compatibility, unlikely allies. At first glance, the Capricorn man and Aquarius woman look like two people who would never even end up in the same room, let alone the same friend group. He walks with purpose, driven by logic, timelines, and tangible goals. She floats with ease, carried by curiosity, contradictions, and a love for whatever's next. Capricorn is often dressed for a board meeting, even on weekends. Aquarius is the type to show up barefoot at a poetry reading or bring up alien civilizations over coffee. Their lifestyles, values, and social energies seem fundamentally different. He's cautious, she's chaotic. He invests in security. She invests in ideas. From the outside, there's nothing that screams potential friendship here. And yet, there's something magnetic between them. The Capricorn man finds himself oddly fascinated by her. She doesn't follow rules, and that both irritates and intrigues him. She speaks without filters, challenges systems he's always accepted, and thrives in spaces he would usually avoid, like protests, art collectives, or fringe tech meetups. At first, he might write her off as eccentric or even naive. But the more he watches her operate in the world, the more he starts to respect her courage. There's a fearless honesty in the way she expresses herself, a raw kind of brilliance in her refusal to conform. Deep down, Capricorn, so often weighed down by expectation and responsibility, admires how free she is, even if he'll never admit it out loud. Meanwhile, the Aquarius woman, though not usually drawn to grounded, traditional types, feels a curious pull toward Capricorn's energy. There's something undeniably solid about him. He doesn't flinch under pressure. He listens carefully. He remembers what she says. He shows up on time. In a world full of chaos and scattered attention, Capricorn offers something rare, presence. She sees in him a kind of internal strength that's deeply attractive, not in a romantic sense, but in a human one. He's not flashy, but he's powerful. He doesn't overshare, but when he speaks, it matters. And while she may roll her eyes at his seriousness, she appreciates that he's one of the few people who doesn't flake or fade when things get messy. Their conversations become the seedbed of a unique bond. Capricorn introduces Aquarius to the beauty of consistency, how setting goals, honoring commitments, and showing up even when it's boring can lead to real impact. She, in turn, pulls him into uncharted territory, introducing him to thinkers, cultures, causes, and innovations that stretch the boundaries of his worldview. Where Capricorn teaches her how to build something brick by brick, Aquarius teaches him to imagine a world where bricks aren't even necessary. Their dynamic becomes a dance between the present and the possible, between what is and what could be. But here's where things get tricky, expectations can easily clash. Capricorn may start to assume that Aquarius should be more reliable, more emotionally available, more invested in the friendship. He likes knowing where he stands. He likes consistency. When she disappears for weeks or cancels plans last minute because she wasn't feeling it, it can feel like disrespect, or worse, rejection. On the flip side, Aquarius might begin to feel like Capricorn is silently judging her. His lack of spontaneity, his critical eye, or even his subtle disapproval of her choices can make her feel boxed in. The very thing that draws them to each other, difference, can also drive a wedge between them if not navigated with awareness. But if, and only if, they learn to accept each other without needing to fix each other, something incredible can happen. Capricorn doesn't need to become wild and unpredictable. Aquarius doesn't need to become stable and traditional. They just need to honor the fact that they offer each other perspectives the other might never reach alone. When Capricorn lets go of his need for control and embraces her for her authenticity, even when it's messy, he gains a friend who will challenge him to evolve. When Aquarius stops resisting his structure and sees the value in his presence, even when it feels boring, she gains a friend who will ground her while still letting her fly. Over time, their friendship can evolve into one of the most loyal, complex, and creatively inspiring connections either of them has ever known. They may not always get each other, but they'll grow because of each other. They push each other to be more than what they were yesterday, not through pressure, but through presence. This isn't the friendship that texts daily or shares every emotion, but it's the friendship that's there when it truly counts. And in a world full of surface-level connections, that kind of depth, that's rare. That's real. And that's worth holding on to. Business compatibility, vision plus execution. In the world of business, where most partnerships crumble under pressure, the Capricorn man and Aquarius woman have the potential to create something extraordinary. What makes them so compelling as a duo isn't just that they're smart, or that they work hard, it's that they operate from entirely different dimensions of thinking, and somehow, those differences create a kind of alchemy. Capricorn is grounded in what's real. Aquarius is flying toward what's next. And when the ground meets the sky, you don't just get a horizon, you get a vision with structure, and structure with soul. The Capricorn man is the embodiment of order, structure, and long-term planning. He's the type who's already calculated ROI before the meeting even starts. He's conservative with resources, meticulous with execution, and obsessively detail-oriented. He doesn't waste time on dreams that don't have a plan behind them. Whether he's running numbers, managing staff, or drawing up timelines, his approach is strategic and efficient. In business, he's not flashy, he's foundational. The guy who doesn't just climb the ladder but builds a sturdier one along the way. He values timelines, predictability, and clear results. And while he may not always be the loudest voice in the room, when he speaks, things move. Enter the Aquarius woman, the walking brainstorm, the innovator, the disruptor. She doesn't see the world as it is, but as it could be. She brings to the table ideas that others are too afraid or too limited to imagine. She doesn't care about the rulebook, she's rewriting it. Whether it's a tech startup, a social movement, or an art collective, she's 5 steps ahead, already designing systems for the future while others are still catching up. She isn't driven by profits alone, she's fueled by purpose. Social impact, freedom of expression, radical creativity, these are her currencies. She lives in possibility, and because of that, she's not always easy to follow. But she doesn't want to be easy to follow. She wants to lead. So what happens when this laser-focused executor and this avant-garde thinker become business partners? At first, maybe chaos, but then, magic. Pure and practical. She sparks the fire, he keeps it burning. Her ideas break through stagnant markets, while his strategies ensure those ideas actually make it to launch. She dreams of building a new app that revolutionizes education. He builds the rollout plan, sets milestones, drafts budgets, and schedules investor meetings. Together, they're a 2-part system, 1 part future, 1 part framework. In startups, this pairing is golden. The Aquarius woman is the founder who invents something no one's ever heard of. The Capricorn man is the COO who makes it real, legal, scalable, and sustainable. In creative industries, she's the auteur and he's the producer. She creates the concept that moves people. He gets it funded, distributed, and protected. In tech, she invents, he executes. It's not about hierarchy, it's about harmony. Her innovation plus his implementation equals momentum. But no duo is perfect, and here, the biggest risk is ego. Capricorn may find himself frustrated by Aquarius's seeming lack of pragmatism. Her ideas can be lofty, untested, or simply too far out of left field for his comfort. He may try to rein her in, to fit her genius into a timeline or a spreadsheet. But genius doesn't thrive in spreadsheets. On the flip side, Aquarius may start to see Capricorn as a dream killer, someone who shuts down possibilities because they don't fit neatly into pre-existing structures. She might accuse him of being too traditional, too safe, too boring. If they let those frustrations fester, the partnership can stall. But if they learn to respect their vastly different ways of thinking, they can become unstoppable. Capricorn needs to understand that innovation is messy, and sometimes, the biggest returns come from the wildest risks. Aquarius, in turn, needs to accept that even the most revolutionary ideas require planning, patience, and structure to succeed. If they communicate honestly and often, not just about what needs to get done, but how they want to get there, they can create a balance that few business teams ever achieve. In the best-case scenario, this business relationship doesn't just succeed. It thrives. It leads. It innovates and executes, dreams and delivers. It can launch companies, build empires, or transform entire industries. This is the rare kind of professional partnership that's built not on sameness, but on sharp contrast, two worlds colliding in the best possible way. And if they can keep their egos in check and truly lean into their complementary genius zones, they won't just go far. They'll go all the way. Final thoughts: can they work? Let's not sugarcoat it. The relationship between a Capricorn man and an Aquarius woman is one of the most complex pairings in the zodiac. It's a study in contrast, a dance between seemingly incompatible energies. He is time-tested tradition, she is boundary-breaking innovation. He finds strength in predictability and proven systems, she thrives on surprise, disruption, and breaking the mold. His love language is consistency. Hers is freedom. He plans for decades. She lives for the moment. And yet, within this whirlwind of contradiction lies a breathtaking possibility: transformation. The core challenge of this relationship isn't about right or wrong, it's about rhythm. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of structure, responsibility, and time. Aquarius is also touched by Saturn, but heavily influenced by Uranus, the planet of rebellion, unpredictability, and the future. So even though they share a ruling planet, they express it in radically different ways. Capricorn enforces rules, Aquarius rewrites them. Capricorn works within systems, Aquarius reprograms them. This isn't just a personality mismatch, it's a clash of worldviews. One is trying to preserve. The other is trying to evolve. But that's precisely why this pairing can be so powerful. If these two don't try to convert each other, if they choose instead to understand each other, they can achieve a balance that few couples ever touch. Capricorn can offer Aquarius a container for her chaos, not to control her but to amplify her impact. He can give her the grounding she often doesn't realize she needs. Meanwhile, Aquarius can show Capricorn that growth often requires risk, that some rules need to be broken, and that the future isn't something to fear, it's something to shape. She can stretch his imagination past his plans, and he can stretch her potential past her impulses. The beauty of their bond lies in what they force each other to confront. Capricorn will have to face his rigidity, his fear of change, and his over-reliance on certainty. Aquarius will be challenged to examine her emotional detachment, her fear of vulnerability, and her resistance to roots. If they do this work, if they lean in rather than pull away, they don't just evolve individually. They evolve as a unit. Their relationship becomes a crucible where limitations melt and new possibilities are forged. This love won't look like a movie. There may not be handwritten sonnets, candlelit dinners every Friday, or synchronized social media posts. But there will be something deeper, the kind of loyalty that's chosen day after day, not out of habit but out of respect. The kind of chemistry that doesn't burn out because it's not built on fantasy. It's real. It's raw. It's earned. And maybe that's the secret. Fairy tales are about perfect matches, flawless heroes, and inevitable happy endings. But real love? Real love is messy. It challenges. It exposes. It transforms. And that's exactly what this pairing has the potential to do. So, can they work? Yes. But not because the stars guarantee it. Because they choose it. Over and over again. Not in spite of their differences, but because of them. When a Capricorn man and an Aquarius woman learn to hold space for each other's truths, they don't just make love work. They redefine what it means. If you found this deep dive helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more cosmic insights, and don't forget to check out our other zodiac match breakdowns. Want to know what happens when a Sagittarius dates a Virgo? Or when two Scorpios fall for each other? We've got it all coming your way. And hey, all the links you need are in the description below. See you in the next video.